So today I want to share my experience after 3 days of the what we call the Texas blackout. Basically, millions of people in Texas have been without power or without water or both for the last 3 days because of a snowstorm. I've received a warning about a snowstorm a week before, so I was somewhat prepared. Saturday the 13th was supposed the last day where it was supposed to be snowing and icy, but it was okay on the road. So we were still out on that day. It was also the second day of Lunar New Year, so I was still able to go visit some friends and drop off some things that night at 11 p.m. and the road was fine. But I also received some news from some of my friends who were driving that day who was already sliding at the intersection at some places. So we can tell that inclement weather was coming, but nobody thought it was going to be this bad. Sunday, February the 14th, on Valentine's Day, it started snowing, and obviously we get to stay at home from work. The low on that day was in the 13 or 14 degrees. The power was still on, water was still on, everything was still good. Internet was still on. We were basically just having, Valentine's Day, Netflix and chill, whatever else. I read some news about people in Missouri losing power, and so I was kind of scared it may happen to us here in Texas, but I didn't think too much about it. I just keep praying. But good thing Lunar New Year was just yesterday, so we still have a lot of leftover food, so I was pretty okay on food there. About that night, the 14th to the 15th, so on the morning of the 15th at about 3 a.m., I woke up cold, and I, just like half asleep, stumble out to the thermometer trying to turn it on, and it wasn't turning on. And I was like, oh crap, we are out of power. My husband tried to go check the breaker outside to see if we can restore the power that way. I don't think it was him, but somehow the power did come back. So I was like, oh, hallelujah. When he was outside, he said it was extremely cold and slippery. Shortly thereafter, about 7:30, the power went back out. Came back at 9 o'clock and then out again at 11:40. When it was out at 11:40, it was out for 8 hours straight. It wouldn't come back on until 7:30 at night. So throughout the whole day, when the power was still out, my cell phone signal also go out. So I couldn't make any calls, I couldn't text anybody, I couldn't get on the internet, I don't know what's going on outside. We were just basically wearing 3 different layers and stay underneath 2 layers of blankets. I was trying to text my friend. I know before the power went out, he offered if my power was still out, I could go to one of the hotels, her free hotel night stay. But I couldn't text anybody, and the call was emergency only. And then the weather was just getting colder and colder. It was dropping down to 7 degrees, and we still have no power, and I was pretty desperate. At the low of desperation, at 7:30, the power came back on, and when it was on for about an hour and a half, so I think I'm until about 9 o'clock. Then it went out again. Thank God I have my Ice One light stick. This is going to be my lifesaver as far as showing me the ways. And again, just layer up under 3 layers of clothing and 2 layers of blankets. I've moved my bed to the living room as well to conserve all the energy. Whenever we have our power on, we'll just direct all of the heat into the living room, so that way we stay safe in that area, so that way we don't even go into our bedroom anymore, since the bedroom was close to the window and it's going to be a little colder. During the time we have power, I get a chance to look up my friend's situation, and it was pretty bad. I know some people have been out of electricity for about 20 hours straight. Some of my friends were without power and also without water. Some of their water pipes have frozen. Some of my friends had to escape to their parents' house who had power. And during the drive, it was about 2 hours drive, and there was so many accidents on the road because people were just, slipping and sliding. And some were able to get firewood for their fireplace. And, but it was rough for a lot of us. A lot of them was also blessed if they live close to a critical infrastructure like a hospital or a police station. They were able to keep their power on, but a lot of us was out of power for a while. On night number 2, the night between the 15th and the 16th, I started feeling sick at about 3 o'clock in the morning. It was freaking great. I was really in the middle of freaking snowstorm when there's no freaking power on, and this cold, it's like freezing my booty off. Really. It was very painful. I could barely sleep, and it was cold. I was in pain. I think I was in and out of sleep starting at 3 a.m. until like 6 in the morning. Good thing, I guess during the nighttime, not many people is on the cell phone, so my cell phone signal came back, so I was able to look up like home remedy and what are all the symptoms for all these things. And how great, like this is something that I had to get a prescription for, to get medicine to treat. I couldn't just go over the counter and fix my problems myself. The problem is, during the daytime, I have no cell phone signal if I don't have power. And so even if, obviously I cannot go to a doctor right now, I can't drive. I signed up for one of the like video call, talking to a doctor over the phone. And I was able to set up an appointment, but I was afraid that I couldn't even get onto the call because I have no cell phone signal. But thank God one of my friends was able to help me out. And right when the doctor called me, my power came back on and I was able to get on the call. That was dramatic. It was dramatic, but I made it happen. So, yeah, thank you so much to the friend I'm talking about that's been able to help me during this crazy time. And then when the power came back on, the doctor gave me a prescription. She also advised me that, just so you know, because of this crazy weather, if you want to pick up this prescription, it's going to take 3 to 4 hours. I'm like, all right. At least it's during the daytime and there was some sunlight out, so I'm like, I can make it happen somehow. And power was still like in and out. And about 4 hours later, I tried to go to Walgreens to pick up my prescription. Nobody answered my calls. I called 3 or 4 times. My power was out. My cell phone signal was out again. I had my friends call it for me, and nobody answered. I decided to just YOLO and just drive to the freaking store anyways. When I was driving out and my cell phone signal started to work, so I'm like, oh, should have done this. But anyway, so I went to Walgreens to find out the store was closed. That was 4 hours later. I'm still in pain. So that was great, but thank God I was able to get in touch with so I called my doctor again. She told me she's gonna transfer my prescription to Kroger Pharmacy, which is right next door. And I was like, please don't make me wait 3 to 4 hours, even though I was expecting to wait 3 or 4 hours. This was at about already like 4 or 5 o'clock because it was 4 hours to get my prescription. It was, 30 minutes of driving because even though it's only one light down the road because it was scary. It was when there was only 1 hour of sunlight left. There's horrible road conditions still, and another snowstorm is approaching. How painful. I went in anyways, and the line at Kroger freaked me out. There was so many people, and I almost wanted to walk out because I was like, if I was to wait here, it's gonna be until like 8 o'clock at night. And thank God when I approached the pharmacy, it was not as bad. And it was only like a couple people in front of me. The lady in front of me was freaking out though. She was like, you're telling me that I have to be without my medicine during this time and during this snowstorm? And the guy was just like, I'm sorry. I was getting desperate again at the fact that, what if I can't even fill my prescription? And I talked to the farm tech. He was like, I explained my situation. I just sent it in because the other one couldn't do it for me. They closed. And he was like, so your doctor just sent this in? I'm like, yes. I almost teared up. And I don't know if it's because I'm like, crying almost. And he was like, okay, we'll get this done for you in 15 minutes. And I like break down, like, thank you so much. To the guy working at Kroger Pharmacy, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't know how much you've helped. It's crazy. Thank you. We got home about 15 minutes before the day got dark. There was another snowstorm coming that night, and in case the power went out again. But thank God power was starting to stabilize that night. We only lost it for about 2 hours between 9 to 11. And then I was so glad when the power came back on because that night, because of the medicine I was taking, all of the side effects starting to hit me at the same time. Like I was having a fever of 100 and something degree, 101 degree. I'm starting to feel like nauseous and starting like wanting to vomit and body ache, all of those things. It's like almost COVID symptom, but obviously I wasn't coughing. I don't have no loss of taste, no loss of smell, so I know it wasn't COVID, thank God. It was so painful, and that was the first time I started crying. I think it was a combination of the pain and all the things we had to deal with and all the stress, and the power was still coming in and out. On night number 3, right, I went to sleep at about 1. I didn't want to sleep too early because I'm afraid that the power was gonna come back out, and I don't want to be under layer in case the power went out. Because with the pain I was dealing with, I couldn't afford, waking up freezing, you know. I went back out at like 3 o'clock, and that's when I was like, okay, now I can go to sleep, bundling up and everything. At about 5 o'clock, it came back on, and then I just kind of woke up and then, get my shit ready. I mean, I'm still better than most, so because obviously my power was still on all day until today, so it's kind of good there. My only problem now is I've heard that a lot of people after they got their power back, the next problem we're gonna face is the fact that we're gonna lose water. Some water is all gone now at all the stores, on the grocery store. Pipes are busting, water is leaking indoors. People don't even have water to, drink, to cook, to shower. It's tragic. So during these tough times, I feel like the human compassion is really what warms my heart. My heart really goes out to all the people all the technicians who are working days and nights to get our powers restored. Yes, the system has failed us, but don't forget to show support and compassionate to those who are working diligently to get our power restored. I'm grateful for those who left a water case in front of my friend's house when she was out of water. And I'm grateful for all my coworkers and all my team and all my friends who has been helping me so much through this whole shit show. I am grateful for those who have power and water, who have been, sharing their fortune with other people who are without it. And for people who are sharing their food to people who are in need as well. I am forever grateful. I've been in Texas for about 10 years now. This is the first time we experienced this, but I know we will get over it. It hurts me to see all my fellow Texans hurting, but I believe that we'll rebuild it together. Texas strong.